Araquanid's liquidation. And we'll see the Reflect go up for the Grimmsnarl, which makes sense. Also will move faster. Facade, we'll still see how much this does, and yeah, still a ton of damage to Grimmsnarl, but not going to pick up the KO. The liquidation the other direction, I don't think would have KO'd the Ursaluna anyways, but ooh, and it's the Leech Seed on the Calyrex. I did not look very closely at this set. It is the Leech Seed set. So, a bit of a slower moving Calyrex set here. With the leftovers and the Leech Seed, lots of passive HP recovery. I mean, a Glacial Lance probably would have picked up the Grimmsnarl at that range and given it the +1 to move forward in the battle, but hey, I guess it worked. Calyrex is getting that HP back now, and now the question for Brian is, Grimmsnarl probably drops now if you don't switch it out. You get up a light screen to try to give it a little bit more value, or just say, okay, Ursaluna's not going to target me, I'll see what happens. Araquanid's going to protect, which will make it lose a little bit more HP. Ursaluna, ooh, goes for the Facade into the Araquanid, so it doesn't pick up, and that'll give Grimmsnarl potentially an option if Glacial Lance is... Yeah, Glacial Lance should pick up the KO. So, different order of operations, but Calyrex still gets the Leech Seed up on the Araquanid, and picks up the +1 off the KO on the Grimmsnarl. So the Trick Room turns, don't go for as long as you want, and Reflect is up, so it'll be hard to break through some of these targets. But keep in mind, both of Brian's Restricteds are Dragon-type. They both obviously have Terras that could take them out of that Dragon-type, but will be a question for Brian of, okay, what do I bring in here, and what do I feel comfortable potentially getting hit by a Glacial Lance, as well as anything that Ursaluna can do. And yeah, it's going to be the Giratina here. Makes sense. The Giratina is Terra Fire, and it's Levitate, so it won't be able to be hit by any of Ursaluna's ground moves, either the Earthquake or the Headlong Rush. But now it's just a question of, okay, how much does Ursaluna do with, for example, just Facade? Like, something like a Facade Glacial Lance into that Giratina could still do a ton of damage. We'll see it go now. There's the Terra. Now both Terras are used. That's Brian's Terra Fire Giratina. I really like that as a set. There's not a ton of water damage running around, and obviously Dragon already resists water. Other than that, it's just a great typing. Facade actually aimed into the Araquanid and gets the crit. I believe that goes through the Reflect, and that'll take the KO there. That will leave Giratina, ooh, taking the Leech Seed. Ooh, no, it misses. 90% accurate, and it misses that Leech Seed. Giratina gets free Calm Mind off. Giratina's going to start setting up, but Brian is going to have to do a lot with this Giratina. Shadow Ball and Dragon Pulse, the two moves, both the main stabs of Giratina. Big issue here is that you've only got the Miraidon left, and it will not appreciate taking a hit from either of these two. Especially without the Terra, it's going to probably just drop to either a Headlong or a Glacial Lance. And in that case, it's going to be Giratina against the world, even if they're able to, even if Brian is able to pick up the KO there. Jason's actually going to switch out the Ursaluna, preserve it a little bit for later, and Grimmsnarl's going to come in here. Grimmsnarl's able to take a hit. It will be able to set up a light screen, and yeah, the Glacial Lance from Calyrex. Let's see if it takes the Miraidon out. No! Barely takes the hit. Get a little bit more of that bulk on the Assault Vest. This is really operatic music that we have in real life here. Shadow Ball does go into the Grimmsnarl, so maybe hoping that it wasn't going to be that move, but the Electro Drift, ooh, the critical hit, and Calyrex still takes it. That is ridiculous. And Trick Room ends, but not a bad spot. Ooh, and the Electric Terrain drops off as well. It's been up the entire time, and finally it drops off. Now the Miraidon's on the field. I think Jason's got a pretty easy move to make here. I think you just take out Miraidon and protect the Calyrex, and just leave the Giratina. I mean, the Giratina all it can really do is wail away at the Grimmsnarl and potentially set up another Calm Mind, but not a great spot here. Grimmsnarl will just set up the light screen, which makes sense. All moves from the other side are going to be weakened for the rest of this battle. Electro Drift going into the Grimmsnarl. Does it pick up the KO? No, not even close. Without all of Miraidon's boost, or all of the typical Miraidon boosts, and without the with the light screen, excuse me. Electro Drift don't do anything. Shadow Ball does pick up the Calyrex, which makes sense. And now Urshifu coming in. And, yeah, Grimmsnarl just set up the light screen, so, Miraidon's still kicking. Urshifu is banded, actually, so it won't take a hit from Miraidon. Oh, but it does have the Aqua Jet as an option, so probably will pick up with that. Yeah, it'll pick up with the Aqua Jet there. And if it needs to swap out to make it work, it should be able to, and I think there's no way that it's not faster than the Giratina, especially now with the Thunder Wave up. It's Giratina against the world, 3 targets to KO, and it's not doing a ton of damage to this Grimmsnarl. And it gets full para the first turn it's able. That is a little rough. Now the Spirit Break is going to be able to come in from the Grimmsnarl as well, weaken the Giratina even more. Yeah, the Ursaluna will swap in. If it gets KO'd, it gets KO'd. If it doesn't get KO'd, it's fine for Jason. There is a special attack drop, and it's back to neutral, and it's full para again. I don't think it would have changed a whole lot in how this battle's going, but certainly not ideal. And yeah, Brian's going to call that one over. Jason Tang with a round 1 victory. We saw both Grimmsnarls get a pretty decent amount of value down, but Ursaluna getting the crit on the facade through the screen was pretty good, and then also forcing the Giratina to Terra pretty early, which then meant that the Miraidon didn't really have any way out of Glacial Lance. We saw also just the Miraidon just doesn't do a ton of damage. Like, obviously Miraidon hits very, very hard, but we're used to seeing Miraidon hit really, really hard with specs. And this is the Assault Vest set. We've seen a lot of the Assault Vest set, and we've seen it work pretty well, but you do make a lot of trade-offs to get the to get that bulk from the Assault Vest, and kind of seeing that here after it really wasn't able to dispatch the Grimmsnarl or the Calyrex particularly well. Even through the crit, I think, on the Calyrex. Dang. I'm gonna say it was. You're not gonna go back and check. So game number 2, you know what the adaptation is for Brian. I think you do have to potentially get a little bit more aggressive with the Trick Room mode, have the Araquanid, have the Ursaluna even. Jason seemed pretty comfortable in just getting the Trick Room set up, and to be fair, if Brian is able to stop the Trick Room from going up, it could be pretty significant. Obviously, the Grimmsnarl has the Fake Out to potentially stop the turn 1, as well as just potentially going for like a Miraidon Electro Drift right into that slot. But that's the problem, is that Jason still has options to read that when you do lead the Grimmsnarl and the Calyrex. So we'll see how this turns out. I believe that Brian switched things up as well. I wasn't looking that closely. It's going to be Grimmsnarl and Calyrex again. It's a very solid lead for Jason. And the Volcarona Miraidon for Brian. Excuse me. So this does give the Miraidon an option to just start hitting things. Just go for an Electro Drift right now instead of the less aggressive Volt Switch. And you also have the Volcarona with the... no Will-O-Wisp or anything, but does have the Rage Powder, does have the Fiery Dance as well to hit that Calyrex very hard. And then Calyrex is Terra Water, so hitting it with Electric move plus Fire move would almost certainly get rid of it, although it does have Protect. So lots of choices to make, and the Light Screen will change things pretty significantly if Grimmsnarl decides to go for that. And yeah, Now, we are going to see the Grimmsnarl Light Screen turn 1, no Era. The Miraidon with the Volt Switch out, it's going to do less damage than we saw before, unless it crits. A crit is going to change things pretty substantially. That's going to put Brian in a much nicer spot. Gets the Araquanid in now on that Volt Switch. And we'll see if Volcarona can pick up the KO. Should be able to. Fiery Dance here. That's some investment. No, doesn't pick up the KO. Barely a sliver of HP remaining, and the Calyrex drops the Leech Seed. So, does still get that Leech Seed off on the Volcarona, but it's going to be much lower health than you'd really want to be with that. You get the leftovers and that Leech Seed recovery. Hold on just a minute. So, Calyrex does have an opportunity to protect here. Keep its HP up a little bit. Question is then, what does Grimmsnarl do? And can you switch into something that'll suddenly generate pressure against this Volcarona or against the Araquanid? I mean, we saw before the Araquanid was pretty hardy. Not the nature. Forgot the word for that. Miraidon's going to switch in, which makes some sense. Want to get the Calyrex out of there on kind of low HP. And Miraidon, if it takes any damage here, it'll heal it off. Because it's got the Leech Seed still active. This is its own Assault Vest variant. Yeah, the Liquidation, not going to do basically anything in the Miraidon, especially with the Leech Seed coming through as well. Volcarona, full Parad. That's 2 full Paras for Brian already. Not ideal, necessarily. And yeah, there's the health sap from the Leech Seed. Gonna heal up that Miraidon just a bit. Now, what do you do if you are either of these players? There's not a ton of damage being threatened. There is certainly some. Araquanid's going to switch out, probably does not want to eat an Electro Drift. And so the other Miraidon's going to switch back in. And it's Volt Switch out into that slot, so a solid 19 damage dealt there. And Ursaluna switches in. Spirit Break into the Volcarona. It'll drop a special attack there for whatever it wants to do, and that is a critical hit. I was going to say, it felt like a little bit too much damage for a Spirit Break. Ooh, but the Flame Body is going to drop the drop the damage of that. And the Rocky Helmet. All of that contact move chip. The Struggle Bug. The obvious move when the Miraidon's on the field, but not going to do anything against either of these two. Nothing super meaningful. And the Ursaluna is going to heal back against the Volcarona now. So any damage that it takes from the Flame Orb, it's going to heal off while the Volcarona is still on the field. You can see all of these end of turn effects, all of them go off. There's the Flame Orb burn. Ursaluna could just go for a fat Earthquake here. The only thing that would... I mean, the Pokemon in the back would resist or be immune to it. But it would probably pick up the double knockout. Could also just go for like a Facade or something into the Miraidon, just go for as much damage as possible into that slot. Although, obviously, you'd be worried about the Giratina, which actually Giratina is immune to Ursaluna, is something I'm realizing now. Pre-Terra Giratina, at least. And yeah, we will see the Giratina switch in. Terra immune to Grimmsnarl there, but the Spirit Break into that slot, it won't do a ton of damage because of the burn. It will drop the special attack, which means that even if Giratina doesn't do anything, even if Ursaluna doesn't do anything to Giratina, Giratina doesn't do anything to Ursaluna. Ursaluna will lose its recovery by taking out the Volcarona, although we'll also take out the Volcarona, which is meaningful. Grimmsnarl will take a little bit of burn damage, and so will Ursaluna. But now Ursaluna has another target to hit, which is always nice for it. Light Screen is still up with these two Pokemon out on the field. Question is, how do each of them want to play around this turn they have here? Giratina could be paralyzed by the Grimmsnarl, which would be a pretty nice little move there. Yep. Nifty little para onto the Giratina will make it a little bit easier to deal with for the remainder of Jason's team. Draco Meteor lands into the Ursaluna, picks up the KO with a crit. That is a, what, third crit of this battle? Not third crit of this battle. There's been a lot of crits this set. And the Giratina gets full para. That's the third full para. Or fourth. I can't even count. Electricity disappears, but the Miraidon can switch in on Jason's side to bring that back up. And it sure will. Now we'll see which Miraidon is faster. I don't know if we've actually gotten this answered as so far in this set. Though obviously this Miraidon on Brian's side is at -2. It might not do enough damage to take out the Miraidon if it wants to go for a Draco Meteor. And of course both sides still have Terastal available. Para-Electric on both Miraidons. Both Miraidons running the same set. Both have the Snarl. Could be an option, especially on Jason's side, to weaken both of these Pokemon even further. They're both already pretty weak. So it could be a pretty big advantage to just keep weakening them. We'll see it now. The Terra... I don't even know who that is. Well, it's a Terra Miraidon, I know that much. It's a Terra Electric Miraidon. I honestly could not tell you which side it's on. Wasn't paying enough attention to the trainers. Okay, that was on Brian's side. And so the Volt Switch out onto the Miraidon gonna do a little bit more damage because it's just the normal electric type now. Not normal electric, but just standard electric, pure electric. And with the switch out, it's gotta be Calyrex coming in. Still in very low HP. And the Volt Switch out from the other Miraidon. Gonna get it on out of there against that Grimmsnarl. Now we'll see, can Calyrex eat whatever Giratina's going to be sending its way? If it can, it has a chance to change things a little bit in this battle. If it can't, it might be over. Or at least for game number 2, which would still have a third game potentially. It's Dragon Pulse, and Calyrex eats that easily. Not even a struggle for Calyrex to take a full Dragon Pulse right there. And that'll be really nice for Jason, being able to keep that Calyrex lingering around, force an attack into that slot. Potentially even, especially if it's able to get a hit off with a Leech Seed, it'll be able to heal up even more, protect even more, potentially take another hit. There's a lot of opportunity for Jason to build things back up with that Miraidon. Just these 2 Pokemon remaining now, the 2 Restricteds on Jason's side. The Araquanid in those 2 on Brian's side, and now just a question of what these 2 want to go for. Giratina's obviously a pretty low special attack from what we saw a moment ago. The Araquanid's slower than the Miraidon and can't Terra, but will get taken out by probably an Electro Drift. We'll see it here. Terra from Jason, I imagine that's probably the Terra on the Miraidon as well. Indeed it is. Now 2 Terra Electric Miraidons facing off eventually in a moment. Hold on just a second. And yep, there's the Electro Drift. Probably into the Araquanid, I'd imagine. There we go. And that will indeed pick up the KO. And now the Calyrex, is the Calyrex faster than the Giratina paralyzed? It is. Glacial Lance comes through. Does it pick up the KO? Ooh, not enough to KO. Barely not enough. The Dragon Pulse into the Miraidon, not the Calyrex. It crits and it does almost nothing. So now we are in a very close situation between these 2. The problem for Brian is that the Miraidon is basically forced to put an attack into the Calyrex, because otherwise a Glacial Lance will come through that could pretty much end the game. If Miraidon drops the Glacial Lance, although it would be a neutral Glacial Lance because it won't be at +1 yet. Jason does have the ability to go for whatever on Miraidon, though. Probably target the other Miraidon. A Snarl is even an option here. Calyrex will protect. We'll see which Miraidon is faster. It's the opposing Miraidon. Gets the Snarl off, takes out the Giratina, drops Miraidon's special attack. Will it be able to take out Jason's Miraidon from that range? Remember, it is Assault Vest. Ooh, it's Snarl the other direction. It doesn't take out the Calyrex. And Miraidon dodges it. Oh, man. So Miraidon will still be at full power. Can try to launch a Draco here to win it. Light Screen is down now, so Calyrex will take a little bit more damage. Snarl probably picks up the KO. It'll be close. But it's at -1. Another Snarl. Nope, Draco. It connects. Doesn't pick up the KO. Does Miraidon have enough to take out... Oh, it doesn't even take out the Calyrex, and Miraidon would absolutely have taken it at the end. If this is Glacial Lance, it'll end it. If it's even a Leaf Seed connected, it'll end it. Yep, Glacial Lance. And Jason Tang with the 2-0 victory in... It wasn't a mirror match, but there were 3 Pokemon that were the same on both sides. And just a really good job from Jason playing around that with the Leech Seed Calyrex. A very weird, I mean, we've seen plenty of that set on the GC and stuff, but still kind of a weird set, and definitely made it work in a lot of cases there. Hello. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with round number 2. 4 rounds of Swiss today, top 4. Didn't say that at any point. We'll be back with round number 2. Don't go anywhere.